Welcome to Bearpaw Media and Education's Public Legal Education webinar series. My name is Nadine Callahoo Hansen. Bearpaw Media and Education is a Department of Native Counseling Services of Alberta, and our primary goals are to make public legal education understandable, accessible, and affordable for Indigenous people. We at Bearpaw are not lawyers, although we do endeavor to make sure that this information is correct and current to the best of our abilities and is edited by lawyers. Of course, laws change with elections and societal values, so this information is designed to be general in nature and may not apply to your specific situation. It may be necessary to consult a lawyer for legal advice to assist you. For more information, you can go to our website at bearpawlegalresources.ca or follow us on social media at Bearpaw Legal. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that the land in which we gather is Treaty 6 territory and a traditional meeting ground and home for Indigenous peoples, including the Cree, Saulteaux, Blackfoot, Métis, and Nakota Sioux. Today's topic is going to be on identity theft. So I'd like to start with a lighthearted video that we at Bearpaw have created.
Do you know how to protect yourself from identity theft? Identity theft includes a range of crimes, such as credit card information theft and financial and personal document theft. Thieves can strike at any time and anywhere.
What are you doing, my boy?
Talking to my girlfriend.
Girlfriend?
Yeah, my internet girlfriend.
Internet.
I sent her my bank account information so she could buy a ticket and come and see me.
Identity scams can happen in many different ways. Do not open emails from people you don't know, and do not give your personal banking information to anyone over the internet.
What are you doing, my boy?
Just deleting some suspicious emails.
If you receive an email and you don't recognize the sender, the text is garbled, or if it seems fishy, simply delete the message.
Hello? Me? I want a cruise? All you need is my name, SIN, address, blood type, Facebook password, and you'll send me the cruise tickets? Cook 'em! We're going on vacation!
Oh, Scooty! I love to cruise.
Phone scams like this, where the thief calls posing as a bank, government agency, or legitimate business and asks for personal information with promises of fabulous prizes and rewards, are nearly as old as the telephone itself. Be skeptical of calls like this. Never give out your information over the phone unless you've initiated the call.
You want my SIN and my mother's maiden name?
What's the catch, you guys? I don't think so. I think it's identity theft like the time my uncle lost his Métis status.
Be protective of your personal information. Once your trash and recycling is out on the curb, it's fair game for anyone willing to rummage around through it. In fact, the practice of dumpster diving, retrieving personal documents from the garbage, is a common tool for identity thieves. To protect your identity, invest in a shredder to shred all documents that have any personal information on them.
Hello? Yep, that's me. How much on what credit card? CougarSingles.com?
If your identity has been stolen, you need to report the fraud to the police and file a police report. Then call the major credit reporting agencies and tell them your identity has been stolen. Be vigilant with your private documents and protect yourself from identity theft by following all the tips mentioned in this video. Make sure you know your legal rights and obligations when making your way in the world. If you need help for any of the topics we've covered today, contact an NCSA court worker. But if you need legal advice, call a lawyer.
All right, so this, as well as many, many, many other videos and publications, are available on our website that you can go and watch instantly, download instantly, share to your heart's content. So please check us out at www.bearpawlegalresources.ca. So the 4 elements of protecting your identity are to, first of all, be aware when somebody is trying to steal your identity, recognizing the signs, taking steps to preventing, and then should it ever occur, that you would know who to report to and what needed to be reported. On the bottom of every one of our PowerPoint slides, you will see that you can access our bearpawlegalresources.ca website if you forget where it is, and also that all of our resources are funded by the Alberta Law Foundation. So what is identity theft? When someone uses your personal information without your knowledge or consent to commit a crime such as fraud, theft, or forgery. And so identity theft is far more than just stealing money, but also stealing your identity to commit crimes of any kind, or to assume your identity for employment. And so identity theft is a much larger problem than just involving money, although that is a big piece. So when we're talking about personal information, what kind of information is included? You'd be surprised at how much more than just your name. It includes your age, your gender, any identification numbers such as social insurance numbers, in addition to your credit card or bank cards, your income, how much you make, what do you own or what do you owe, your bank statements, receipts, health records, shopping habits. Now, why would they want to know things like what's your income or your assets? What do you owe? What do you own? What do you owe? Shopping habits, maybe your family information, such as your mother's maiden name or your interests and attitudes. The reason why people that commit identity theft would want to know those kind of subtle information is to remain under the radar for as long as possible. And so when they're stealing your identity and to open up new accounts, they're just trying to help you build a credit rating. They're kind like that. Just kidding. But when they're opening new accounts, often they will be asked, or you would be asked, what your annual income is, what your assets, what you own, or what you owe as well. Shopping habits. They want to know where you typically shop and what your typical spending habits are, so that they're staying within that normal range, because you may have experienced where you have shopped in an unusual place, or spent a little more money than what you usually do, and your bank will send you a notification stating, did you make this purchase? So they want to know typically what your normal shopping habits are, so that they can remain unknown to you for as long as possible. Family information such as your mother's maiden name. What is the one thing that accounts will often ask you to verify your account? What's your mother's maiden name, right? And so it goes farther, much farther beyond just your name, age, gender, identification numbers, but also subtle information to remain under the radar. So how is your personal information stolen? They will steal directly from your mailbox. You gotta love those porch pirates, they're called. Stealing your purses and wallets, finding lost ones. I have to share a story. So probably about 20 years ago, I had my purse stolen from my work. And the next day, my purse was found with all of my content, including my wallet and all of my credit cards, identification, all of that. The only thing that was missing was my keys. And what the police told me was that there was a group of thieves that were typically stealing purses, and the only thing that they were taking was the keys, so that people would be filled with this false sense of security. But then they were recording your address from your identification. And after a little bit of time, when you were feeling somewhat secure, they were using your keys to break into your home and vehicles and steal, rob you. And so we ended up having to change the locks on my car and my home as well as work. So it was a costly experience, that's for sure. They may charm your victims or someone you know into sharing personal information. The industry term for this is pretexting. Or shoulder surfing. This is when somebody is watching you enter your PIN number, your personal identification number, over your shoulder. And so you want to make sure that anytime you're entering your PIN, that you use your other hand to cover, to make sure that nobody else can see what your PIN number is from a distance. Or they may even eavesdrop. Other ways that they can steal your information: sifting through your garbage or recycling, called dumpster diving. Once you put your garbage on the curb, it becomes public property, and they don't even have to be sneaky about it. They can just start rifling through it whenever they want. And so, like they had recommended in the video, you can go to Walmart or any store that carries stationery and spend, you know, $20 or $30 on a small shredder and get into the habit of shredding your old statements and invoices and receipts as well. There are criminals out there that run your credit card through something called an electric skimmer, which copies the card's data for use at a later time. So technology has been created now that your card should never have to leave your hand. The credit card machines are now portable, so you shouldn't have to give your card to a cashier to run through. You should be able to just tap it or enter it yourself. Should a cashier want to take your card to run it, you need to think, is that purchase worth running the risk? So just never take the chance to leave or have your cards leave your own hand. Searching through public records, newspapers, and phone books. We only see this in the movies, but it really does happen, where if somebody is trying to avoid being arrested, outstanding warrants, or wanting a fresh start, they will go through public records, newspapers, looking for people who have died so that they can assume those identities as well. Think about how much personal information you have stored on your cell phones, laptops, and any other personal electronic devices. Cell phones, laptops, iPads, we are using our electronic devices for much more than just placing calls, sending messages. We are using them for shopping. You know, we're using them to make purchases and tapping with them. We've got banking information on there, our credit cards, our whole lives are stored in our electronic devices. And so if those electronic devices get stolen, if there aren't security measures that are put in place, then that thief has access to your entire lives. So some scams to be aware of: email scams, industry term phishing, not with a rod and reel, but PH phishing. Telephone scams, vishing. We've got website redirection schemes, farming, PH farming, fax scams, and ATM tampering or skimming. So with email scams, they will often be loaded with icons like the number sign, lots of spelling errors. Telephone scams, you'll receive a call. Website direction schemes, these are very common. You'll receive emails that state that your bank account is showing indications of being tampered or hacked, and they want you to click on a link to be redirected. Don't do it. If there's a link that they want to redirect you to, it's a scam. How often do you go to the office on Monday and you've received a ton of faxes offering these vacations or cruises that are too good to be true? Chances are they are too good to be true. And of course, ATM tampering, where Identity thieves are putting in attachments over the ATM card feeder, and it's reading the information on your card. And so there are ways that we can protect ourselves from all of these. Also, before we go on, other technological scams that occur, debit and credit card machine tampering, computer spyware, malware, or viruses also, and recovering deleted files from a used computer, and not just computers, but also photocopiers. Probably a decade or so ago, Alberta Health Services had donated a bunch of their old office equipment, and they had deleted the information off of the computers or the photocopiers. But just because they're deleted doesn't mean they're unrecoverable. And a lot of healthcare personal information had been retrieved from those photocopiers. So it's important that you're aware that just because you think you're deleting files from your electronic devices doesn't mean that they're necessarily deleted. They may be saved to the cloud. So why do criminals even want your identity or information? To gain access to your credit, phone, utility, or bank accounts, and that's typically what we think about. But they will also use your information to open new accounts in your name. They like to help your credit rating out like that. They may even go so far as to open the accounts and make payments for a few months while they are maxing out the account. So they'll make minimum payments. They'll forge key identity documents. Maybe they are obtaining employment under your name, but of course, when it comes to paying taxes and all of that stuff, all of a sudden it becomes your responsibility. Sometimes they'll claim government benefits or health insurance under your identity, or even to avoid arrest. So I got my coworker, I gave her like 5 minutes to do a quick scan. And so this was what she was able to achieve in the space of 5 minutes. Imagine if I had given her a half an hour or an hour. So it is really, really simple with the digital technology, the electronic technology that we have today to forge copies of actual government ID. And government is constantly developing new ways of trying to prevent people from forging. But you know, the identity thieves are, as soon as there's a new method that is being created, they're finding ways of forging it as well. So we as consumers need to be very diligent about making sure we keep our identity and personal information safe. So why is identity theft on the rise? Again, it goes back to technology, the development of technology. There's an extremely low risk of detection, very low arrest and conviction rates. And even when someone is arrested, the sentencing is very mild. And so when you compare the sentences to the benefits of stealing somebody's identity, so how much money are they getting? What are they gaining? It's maybe worth the risk. The rise of technology, the abundance of personal information available. It's really difficult to track criminals on the internet, and ultimately consumer unawareness, particularly people that grow up or live in small towns. We, and I include myself in this, tend to feel very safe and secure and really put ourselves out there. So, you need to consider how much personal information are you putting on social media. Oh, that's another one, not just rise of technology, but the increased popularity of social media also um, puts identity theft on the rise. So who typically commits identity theft? Well, we typically want to think that it's organized crime and terrorism. And yes, that does happen. But the reality is that identity theft is more often going to be committed by somebody that we know. Yes, we've got the substance addicts, drug addicts out there that are desperately looking for ways to support their habits, but typically it's going to be family members, um, friends, obviously not good friends, internal employees of businesses as well. So, we need to look at our circle of associates. Who are the common victims? You'd think that typically victims of identity theft would be people that have a lot to lose. The reality is that it's households headed by persons aged 18 to 24 because they are, because I call that age bracket the comic age, because they feel very secure and confident that, oh, that'll never happen to me. I'm rubber and you're glue. Anything you say or do will bounce off me and stick on you, typically. And also those in the highest income brackets of 75,000 or more are the most likely to experience identity theft. Also, believe it or not, women and households with more children in single parent households may be at a higher risk as well. Why? Because typically these households are living less than paycheck to paycheck. And if somebody or somehow they run across an offer that may sound too good to be true, they may jump at it. And so desperation also breeds victims of identity theft. And also consumer behavior can create victims as well. So for example, when we are in a gas and oil boom and there aren't enough rental properties to go around, what you will see typically during these times is that landlords are raising their rent because they are able to get the increased rent, which then prices out the low income families. And we end up with a lot of people that are scrambling for safe housing. Signs that your identity may be at risk. You might notice mail missing. We all know that typically the credit card bill or the bank statement will appear around a specific date through the month. They have mailing cycles. So you might notice that mail is starting to be missing. Maybe you've got bills, credit card, and bank statements that stop coming regularly. Or, of course, I know that everybody goes through their bank statements and credit card statements regularly. And you might start noticing charges that you didn't make that are appearing on your credit card. You receive bills for credit cards that you didn't apply for, or you receive calls about debts that you know nothing about. So it's important that you, maybe you don't need to go through it every month, but every so often go through your statements just to make sure that there aren't unusual charges. And so it's important that we as consumers pay attention to what's happening on our bank accounts, credit card accounts, even down to you know, telephone bills, utility bills, those kinds of things. So, you know, take a look. Guard your documents. Driver's licenses, birth certificates, social insurance number cards, your passport, your Métis or treaty status cards. A little trick or a tip. Don't keep in your wallet cards that you don't use on a regular basis. Think about the cards that you have in your wallet right now. Do you have your birth certificate or your social insurance number card? When was the last time you actually physically touched, pulled out your birth certificate or your social insurance number card, your passport? When was the last time you looked at it? So if somebody was to steal those cards out of your wallet, how long would it be before you actually noticed them missing? So the tip or recommendation is only keep in your wallet the cards that you use on a regular basis. And for all the other cards, lock them in a safe or a bank deposit, safety deposit box if you want to go that route. Or just have, in my house, we have a small metal file cabinet, and we keep our cards and documents that we don't use regularly in a file locked in that file cabinet. Another suggestion, just from personal experience, but you can actually get a freezer bag and throw all of your cards in, and documents that you don't use regularly. Make sure it's sealed well and throw it in your freezer. Because in the case of a fire, chances are that your freezer will survive. And so your documents would also be fire safe in your freezer, and it's free. So guard your information, avoid giving out personal information. If somebody calls you and starts asking you personal information and you don't know, you can't confirm who that person is, don't give them your personal information. Or if you are a funny person, you could give them bogus information like your name is Pocahontas or Bugs Bunny or something, right? Don't give out personal information over the phone or by email, particularly cell phone. Cell phone signals can be tracked and picked up. They can be actually overheard. So you don't want to be giving your credit card number over the cell phone. Like I said, never give out personal information on a cell phone. Make sure to install firewall, antivirus, and spyware programs on your computer, and never write your passwords down. I'm getting up there a little long in the tooth, and memory, is starting to fail a little bit. And so I do have my account passwords recorded, but they are in a very, very secure place in my electronic device, one or another. Won't say where, but they are double secure. Not only do you need a password, but you also need my fingerprint. So I'm fairly confident that they are secure. But don't write them down, and certainly don't record them in a place where somebody might stumble across them. When you're entering your personal identification number, cover it with your hand. Limit the number of credit cards you carry. If you, you know, how many credit cards does somebody need? You know, you don't need 12 credit cards, you know, department store cards, that kind of stuff. If you have extra credit cards, again, don't activate them if you don't need them, and don't keep them all in your wallet if you don't use them on a regular basis. So store them in a safe place. As well, not just limit the number of credit cards you carry, but don't keep a huge balance on it as well. So know approximately what maximum you really need on a regular basis, and keep your limits down on a, you know, lower than, you know, just because the bank is offering you an increase to $15,000 or $20,000, you don't need it. If you don't need it, don't take it. Know your billing cycles. Everybody knows approximately when that bill is going to show up, so keep an eye out for it. Again, invest in a shredder. Shred or tear all documents containing financial information and account numbers. Once it's in the garbage and in the dumpster, it's public property. Secure your mailbox. Make sure that people can't just go in and steal your mail whenever they want. If possible, it's not always possible. Create passwords for your credit cards and bank accounts. And I'm always lecturing people about this. Often banks will send bank cards and credit cards with the tap feature activated. And you actually have to call your bank and request to disable that tap feature. I think they call it tapping because if someone stole your credit card or your debit card, they could tap you right out. Who knows? But you don't want people to be able to steal your card and just tap your bank account dry. So disable it. I have on some of my cards, I have the ability to tap with a fingerprint, but not just an automatic tap. Don't throw your ATM or shopping receipts in nearby trash cans. If you're not shredding them, tear them up, keep them in a separate bag, and then the next time you are at a gas station or a shopping mall that isn't remotely close to your home, toss them in a garbage can. So if someone does come across them, they're not going to be able to connect them to you and your home. More ways that you can guard your finances. Only shop online with reputable companies that have credit information protection software in place. The VeriSign, it's the key symbol. But no, just make sure, especially now when online shopping, especially with COVID, but online shopping is at an all-time high, you want to make sure that you are not giving your credit card information or banking information to a company that might have less than honorable practices in place. As well, whenever possible, go through companies like PayPal, so that should there ever be a problem, that they will investigate and mediate between you and the company, and you have the ability to recover your funds. Never give out financial information over the phone or by email unless you're absolutely certain that you're sending it to a trusted person or company. Make sure to verify that person's identity before you send any information. If they contact you and request credit card information or banking information, don't give it out. Call them back, or but call, check out the number, like Google, or search out the company number. Don't automatically call the number that they give you, because of course they're going to give you a number that they will answer, right? So do a little background search and call the company. I remember not all that long ago, I had been contacted about my bank account being hacked into and money gone missing. And rather than complying with the request for my information, I hung up and I pulled out my debit card and I called the bank's number listed on the back of my card. And the bank told me that it was a scam, that somebody was trying to scam my personal information. And so you want to be very diligent about making sure that you are not giving out any personal or financial information unless you are absolutely certain who the other person is on the other end of the line. And of course, never give out information, financial or personal, on your cell phone. Learn how to identify scams. In emails, words are often misspelled. Fraudulent emails, letters, or telephone calls will always seem urgent. They will tell you, oh, this deal there is time sensitive. If you don't make a decision on this right now, you will lose out on this opportunity. Nope. If they can't wait for you to make an informed decision, it's not worth making that decision in that moment. Hang up, delete the emails, whatever. It's not worth it. And chances are 99% of the time it's going to be a scam. Fraudulent emails request personal information. If they're asking for personal information, don't respond. Unexpected phone calls from creditors and banks, offers and prizes are often scams as well. And there is a website that provides tools for Indigenous youth to teach them about safe sharing online. And so I've provided this link for you, mediasmarts.ca/blog/new tools, Indigenous youth making good decisions about sharing online. Check it out, it's free. And you can get more information about that as well. Your phone's Bluetooth can locate illegal skimmer devices as well. When you are about to use an ATM or card reader at a gas station, simply go to the settings on your smartphone and click on Bluetooth. If a skimmer is present, a long string of numbers and/or letters will appear, attempting to connect you to the device. Once that illegal skimmer is located, do not connect your phone to it. Just walk away. Surprisingly, identity theft is not an offense, an actual criminal offense, nor is it specifically defined in the criminal code. No identity theft specific legislation exists in Alberta either, but we do have lots of criminal charges, criminal offenses that are related to identity theft, such as theft under, theft over, fraud, what other ones? Forging, uttering a forged document, that would be forging someone's name on a check, signature, that kind of stuff. So there are lots of criminal offenses that are related to identity theft, but none specific to identity theft. We also have PIPA, which is the Personal Information Protection Act, the Fair Trading Act, which keeps legitimate businesses at a responsible professional level, and FOIP, which is the Freedom of Information and Privacy Act, all of which provide protection against identity thieves. The impacts of identity theft on victims. Never mind the financial repercussions, what was actually stolen from people, but the psychological repercussions, never being able to ever feel safe again, knowing that someone was able to hack into your computer, on the cloud, steal your information out of your social media. Talking a little bit about social media, we generally tend to overshare on social media as well. Every social media site, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or whatever, they have settings that you can go on, and you can set who you want to be allowed to see your shares, your what you're uploading, your pictures, everything. And so you can go in, or get your children or grandchildren to help you with this, go into your settings and limit who has access to your personal shares, your personal information. So knowing what we're putting out there, if someone were to hack into your account and steal, you would never, ever be able to feel completely safe again. An average of almost $1,500 and 600 hours are invested in getting assets and liabilities straightened out once it's discovered that your identity has been stolen. Occasionally, victims have been arrested for crimes that they didn't commit, but somebody else committed in their name. Suddenly, you may discover that you're having difficulty getting loans, mortgages, security clearances, and employment because you've discovered through the hard way that somebody has accessed your identity, your personal information. What do you do if you are a victim of identity theft? Right away, contact the two primary Canadian credit bureaus, Equifax and TransUnion. Let them know that you suspect that your personal information has been stolen. They will flag your files and keep a lookout for unusual transactions. Contact your legitimate creditors, phone companies, and other financial institutions to let them know that you've been hacked somehow, or that your identity's been stolen. Contact any creditors and financial institutions with false accounts in your name. So if you are starting to receive bills that you did not create, or that you are being contacted by collection agencies because of bills that you didn't create, let them know, contact them and let them know that these are fraudulent accounts and that you did not create them. File a police complaint and contact the Canadian Anti-Fraud Hotline. The number's there, 888-495-8501. You can also contact the Edmonton Community Legal Center and go to their website as well at www.eclc.ca. They also have lots of resources on identity theft that you can access for free. Hopefully gives you a lot more information on how to spot identity theft and what you can do should you believe that you are a victim of identity theft. So ultimately, we all need to be very diligent about protecting ourselves. We cannot be too trusting. We cannot be too safe out there. And so take care. Thanks for watching. And hopefully you are able to follow some of the tips in this webinar. Have a wonderful day.